Back to Global Education Zone, and today in this particular episode of this new course on HTML, we're going to be dealing with the complete HTML course. And this complete HTML course is going to be a course that will take you from the fundamentals to the complete advanced part of HTML. So all you need to do is sit for this course. This is a complete course which I'm going to be doing on YouTube, and you can always participate in this course by giving your opinions and views of the topic treated in the videos in the comment section of this video. And you can also like, share, and subscribe this channel and share these videos to your fellow developers. So basically, today is the first episode of this particular course, and today we're dealing with the basic introduction to this HTML course. Now, this introduction, we're going to be talking about setting up your IDE or your integrated development environment. Now, an IDE is very important when you are coding because it kind of help you edit your code and it prevents errors. So if you will be using a normal text editor like your notebook or your natural notebook on your device, it will not have those editing features. So that is why today I'm using VS Code, and VS Code is an IDE for coding. Actually, it's very popular among developers, and the reason for that is that it has a rich library of extensions which can be used to edit your code and get things done. So that's one thing that makes a lot of people like VS Code, and it also has a very attractive user interface. Like I use the dark mode personally, but you could use any mode. Depends. You could set it up when you are just installing it on your device. You can set up the IDE, the user interface, based on your preference. So basically, you just have to go to settings. Just go to code this part here, and you go to preferences. Then go to settings. You can set anything you want to set on VS Code. That is all possible. Then you can also close any tab you want to close from here. Then um, let's get started basically. So HTML, what's HTML? HTML is called hypertext markup language. So HTML is the language by which computers communicate with each other on the web. So basically, when you type something on your computer and you expect it to give you a result after typing that search. So sometimes when you are using Google and then you type what is let's say what is computer, and then you have to wait a couple of seconds and your answer pops up on the screen. So that is all possible because of HTML. HTML is called hypertext markup language, and at present it is the predominant language by which codes are sent from one computer to another. So basically, so we're going to be talking about different things in this HTML tutorial. So first of all, we're going to be talking about an introduction to HTML. So which is what we are doing in this video. Then the next episode, we're going to be talking about what HTML is in basic. So HTML is we're going to be talking about a mapping through HTML. So I've given you the basic mapping through the different parts of HTML. Then we're also going to be talking about HTML text editors, which we have brushed today. We're going to be talking about it in more detail next episode. Then also we'll also brush building blocks of HTML. We'll talk about HTML attributes, talk about elements, formatting, heading, paragraphs, phrase tags, anchor tags. You have image. Image is kind of like a static object in your HTML document. So it's kind of something that it gives a flavor and design to your web page. Then you also have your list. You also have your order list, your another list, your description list, and your form types. Now, let me mention that form is actually very very important when you are designing your HTML. So now this HTML, it is a course. It can be applied in different parts of computer applications. For example, you can use your knowledge of HTML to use as a web developer. Now, as a web developer, your job is just to control how the website looks to the user. So basically, when you are dealing with that, you need to design a user-friendly and user accommodatable interface. So in this case, you are going to be needing a lot of knowledge of background HTML. So that's why I'm making this course. So you can just stay with this course to the end and make sure you stick to it. Then we also have the form attributes, styling using CSS. Now CSS is a kind of like an auxiliary part of HTML. So HTML has its own inherent style, but it's quite inadequate for us to perform many functions that involve advanced web pages. For example, when you are making a website, now a website is different from a web page. So that's why I decided to make this introductory video. So I've explained about the basics of computers, right? So now when you talk about a website is a combination of web pages, right? So now these websites, they have their different web there are different web pages, and these web pages are connected together with links. Now your link is basically a kind of string, is a string of binary codes that tell your computer where to go from one website to another. So when you are dealing with these web pages, you have to connect your website together. And when you are doing this, it involves a lot of tasks to begin to design your website, your web pages, one after the other. So that is why we use CSS. It's called cascading style sheet. Now the reason for CSS is because when you are designing your web page, you might want your styles to be the same on multiple web pages. So you might use HTML for that, but you need to recode, and that's called hard coding. So for example, if you have an issue with one of the web page, you will not be able to know whether that affects another web page. So, but it's possible to connect everything using CSS, and CSS is a very handy tool for HTML. So now we're also going to be talking about classes, attributes. We're going to be talking about basic JavaScript. So now the reason for this is that HTML is kind of like the I'll call it the framework of front end development. Now the reason for that is that every code you're writing in front end development must have a HTML tag surrounding it. So HTML is seen as a framework of front-end development. So that's why you need to understand it. So this course is a very hot cake. It's a very big course, a very important course. So you need to watch it to the end and understand the fundamentals of HTML. Now we also have the file part, the file layout, the HTML layout techniques, responsive, and all the rest. So we're also going to talk about the URL, how to insert URL in your web page and in your HTML document, and the different kinds of URL we have. So just in case you do not know what a URL is, a URL is called a uniform resource locator, and it is basically a kind of string of binary codes, as I mentioned earlier. But the difference between this one is that this string of binary codes, they are used to link your documents to another web page. So they kind of linking it instructs your computer to open another web page. So that's how we see it now. So links are used in anytime you are going to access an external library of computer resources. Kind of like it could be a string, a web page, a JSON um, notation um, a string of data from coming from your server to your client. So, and I'll also explain the concept of server to client in a subsequent episode. But today we are just going to be based on HTML. So when you are dealing with all these things, you need a link, because this link is kind of like they are kind of like instructions to your computer to open another external resource. So that's why it's called a uniform resource locator. That's why it's called URL, uniform resource locator, right? So that concept has been covered, and let's go over to what we are here to do today. So today we are here to talk about HTML, as you know. Now HTML, as I mentioned earlier, it is called the Hypertext Markup Language. Now this HTML, it is the framework of front-end development, as I mentioned earlier, and we are going to be giving you an introduction into HTML formally. Now this HTML, there are different things you need to understand, but we are going to take it step by step. So the first thing you need to learn how to do today is how to open your document, open a HTML document. So basically, how that is done by in this particular episode, I'm with Visual Studio. So this is Visual Visual Studio Code. Now I'll create a new file here. I'll just click on this start and I'll create a new file here. Now the aim of me creating a new file is because I want to start a new coding project. You get it? So now with this HTML, I can create as many projects as I want to. So now all I need to do is I'll click new file, and it gives us a text here. So the reason for this is that it's telling us that we can actually use this shortcut to open a new file, but we don't need that. So let's just click it. Once you can see it, you don't need shortcuts. So we need to select the type of file we want to create. So there are different options here. I can select any type of file I want to create. So let me choose HTML. Okay, I don't think it has that new file. Okay, let me just command N. Yes, that's what I need. So we'll go to select a language here. So when you do that, it's going to lead us to this drop down, and then we'll have a lot of options of languages to use for this new file. So we have batch, all these ones we're not going to talk about them today. They are going to be another episode, because this is basically to focus on HTML. So let's talk about HTML. Let's go down to HTML. Obviously, this has been arranged in alphabetical order. So when you get to H, you see HTML. So you click HTML and it will open the document as a HTML document. So when you are saving this document, you have it saved as HTML file. You get it? So that means you don't need to specify to your computer again that this is a HTML file. It already knows that this is a HTML file, and it will encode it just as it's supposed to. So let me give you one tip to know that it's actually a HTML file. So if you're on a MacBook computer and you click Command plus Shift plus S, you have this save drop down. So you can see that automatically it has added a HTML extension. This is untitled1.html, right? So this .html is a file extension and tells your computer what kind of file you are saving. It also gives your computer instruction on how to open it. So next time you are opening this file, it will open as a hypertext markup language file. So it will be able to edit it as correspondingly. So let's save this as HTML HTML1. So this is our episode 1. So I want to save it in a particular folder of my applications. Okay, I need to save it in library. Application support Apple. So basically I'm picking my folder to save my document. So I haven't saved my code somewhere. Let me see if I can open my hidden files. So we have the. So let me just create a document here. So let's save it as such. Save. So I've saved my file. Now this is where I'll stop for this episode. Next episode we're going to be talking about HTML in proper, and we're going to be delving deeper into integrated developer environment. So till then, I'll see you next episode, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more educative content like this. Thanks.